The year is 1999. The Millennium is coming to a close. And you've just got the new Blink-182 CD, Enema of the State. Let's get into it. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
So you have never heard Enema of the State in its entirety.
Never.
You've heard What's My Age Again?
Yes.
Heard All the Small Things?
Many times.
Heard Adam's song?
Of course.
Music videos in heavy rotation back then?
Music videos, on the radio. You know, I'm in my, I think it was like a Geo Prism driving
Nice.
to school.
Hell yeah.
I had like a 25-minute commute, so I would listen to CDs or radio, and this one definitely, all three played.
I mean, it was inescapable back then.
A lot, yeah.
They're rocking they're closing out the 99 VMAs. They're everywhere. I have heard Enema of the State plenty back in the day. It was around. Every friend had it. I'm pretty sure I had a clean version from Walmart at one point. It was around. Like I said, inescapable. So I'm familiar with it. You're less familiar with it.
The songs beside the singles, never heard in my life, ever.
Never
heard any of those.
Okay. And this is the suggestion of you people. See, we talked about their new single, Edging, a couple weeks ago. And a couple people suggested, hey, why don't you dive back and give it another chance?
Get some context, you know?
Well, we were saying we don't like the older stuff, but we really love Untitled.
Yeah.
And if you love Untitled, we have an entire video gushing about that album and talking about how great it is. It's from a couple months back. So check that out too. But people said, give it another chance. Go back, give these records another chance.
Yeah, we had a bit of a discussion about which one to listen to, but we ultimately chose this one because it's their first big album.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, talking about lyrics and immaturity and those sort of themes. And this is sort of the one to go to, I think, in terms of that, really go back and see how were they writing at this beginning of their career?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple records in, but as far as mainstream success,
Exactly.
Major label records with big recording budgets, this was kind of the first big one. So it's a good place for us to start. And if this goes well, maybe we'll check out Take Off Your Pants and Jacket from 2001. But for now, we're still in 1999. We're talking about whether Phantom Menace is good or bad,
Bad?
Yeah, it's bad. What else is from 1999? I don't know.
Everything. That was the year of every good movie.
Yeah, that's true. Mostly movies come to mind.
Yeah.
We're wearing Hurley. We're wearing Hurley shirts. Mm-hmm. Wearing DC shoes. And we're talking Enema of the State. First up is Dumpweed. Let's get into it. What'd you think?
Yeah. First of all, so just hearing, okay, I'm bad at knowing who sings which song.
They're the most different voices
I know, but
ever.
I can't put the name. I'm bad with putting names to faces.
Oh, okay. So
you know what I mean?
You can differentiate the voices. You just can't really assign the names.
Yeah.
So Mark is the deeper voice, sort of straight man voice. Tom is the higher sort of California voice. The Yed. He's the Yed.
Okay. So this first one
Is Tom.
Yeah. The vocals sound weird. Not like they're bad. Just going back and thinking of how his voice sounds, on Untitled, that's the one I've listened to, is whoa, that's a little bit weird sounding.
Yeah, we've heard Untitled
younger.
a million times.
Yeah.
We're so familiar with Untitled. And then, you hear this and you're like, oh, he's 12.
Yeah. It's very odd. But then the chorus comes in and then it's okay, that's
a little bit more bite and grit to his voice.
I mean,
in the chorus.
he's doing, I mean, I think the vocal delivery is just as strong. So we were going to talk a little bit about almost disclaimer of the lyrics. And I have to say, I did write down the lyric, I need a girl that I can train.
Yeah.
Is said a lot in this song.
I read that got him in trouble with his SO.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocker. Yeah, I'll throw the disclaimer out now. Obviously, these are not the songwriters from Untitled. They're not there yet. They're not doing that yet. That's not their intention right now in 99. They're doing Enema of the State. It's almost purposefully a little immature lyric wise. You know, it's kind of
they're leaning into this idea. I mean, What's My Age Again is a single.
Yeah.
It sort of, it almost seems as like a thesis of the record of like, we're not gonna write grown up songs. We're dumb kids and we're gonna write dumb kid songs.
it's a good way to put it. They've put it before, like, was kind of meant to be like eternal youth summer record. It's about girls and relationships and skateboards and stuff, you know. That's the intention here. So I'm 33. These lyrics aren't resonating with me. I can maybe get nostalgic and sort of have it bring me back. But all this to say, we're not going to just like, you know, there's a couple of lines that stand out that don't age well like that, but we're not just going to like trash the lyrics the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they would stand behind the lyrics.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, if we were that young writing a big album, like you'd probably look back and be like, why did I write that?
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
And the main reason we're throwing that out is because there's like a lot more going on this record that I want to dive into. You know, the lyrics can sometimes distract from that with its immaturity, but there's so much cool stuff going on to talk about other than that. So are we done with, well, I want to say about Dump Weed.
Yeah, go ahead.
What a just like powerful opening riff.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to open a record, just like kicking down the door, like, boom, we're here.
Yeah.
Major label debut, first big record, boom, like it's strong. And it's kind of the first example of his type of playing that, Tom's, I mean,
Yeah.
which as he puts it in that Pursuit of Tone documentary, was meant to sort of be like lullaby on speed kind of thing. And you instantly get that with that like da 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 da, and like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I get that. And the 1-2 punch of like Dump Weed right into Don't Leave Me. It's like Tom's song, Mark's song. They're both strong, fast, catchy, hard hitting, and then you kind of move on to the rest. But that's sort of your intro as to what this is going to be. Don't Leave Me, I think is pretty fun and sort of showcases that like thing Mark has going on this record, which is like singing fast.
Yeah, sometimes just maybe to excess.
Yeah, we'll get to that with the party song later. But Aliens Exist is the third song. Let's talk about
It's
Aliens
foreshadowing.
Exist. I know, it's so, I've completely forgot that like his whole alien thing was present back then.
Yeah.
I mean, in a very different kind of way.
I think at the time this came out, people probably just thought this was kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I wrote a song about aliens.
And then all this time later, like, nah, dude, that's this guy's life.
And he was he was getting the emails.
He's getting those emails. Yeah, that's interesting. It's fun to like hear that. Like, it's sort of the start of working that into the music. But if I had to cut one, I think it'd be Aliens Exist.
It's a little bit, especially the front half of the record there.
Yeah, as track 3, I think it's not a good placement for that song, and I would say it's kind of the only one that breaks what this record is supposed to be with, you know, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, then there's this random song about aliens.
It's not on theme.
Not on theme, should have been cut, but if you cut it, you're left with like 28 minutes of record, so I get it.
They probably could have like busted another song out real quick about skateboarding.
About being grounded. All right, what's next? Going away to college.
Going away to college. This is a like kind of like a sweet song.
Yeah, I also thought so, and I was surprised to like. I mean, like I said, I've heard this in the past, but revisiting it now, I'm like surprised to see like some vulnerability on display.
Right. Yeah. I liked that. I think, it's not the most complex lyrics or, it's not saying really anything that hasn't been said before, but yeah, I could see a lot of people also like this being their like the song that like meant the most to them because they're really speaking to a very common experience and something that a lot of, teenagers go through.
Yeah, to be a band back then of 3 dudes, everyone thinks is cool, and to put that vulnerability out there as like track 4 on your record, I think was a really cool thing to do. Having these lyrics like, I haven't been this scared, and I'm unprepared, or whatever rhymes, and like that's sort of a risky move back then, and it ends up probably being my favorite song on the record.
Oh, on the whole record? Wow.
I think so. And it's super catchy. You really start to get familiar with their style of not wordplay, but just the way they flip lines and stuff.
There's some good wordplay.
I ditched my lecture to watch the girls play, so is my picture. Like, it's just like you start to catch on to the cleverness of it all.
Yeah, yeah. And, as much as it's a common experience, I can't think of another song specifically about this.
I'm sure there is in the pop punk genre especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't pull one off the top of my head.
So it's, it's nice. They're writing about what they knew.
So then we get to
What's My Age Again?
What's My Age Again?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you got to run the track list here, because I didn't take track by track notes.
Oh, okay. What's My Age Again? Guitar riffs.
Yeah.
Great. Production. Great. I think if the lyrics were a little bit more my bag, this could be just like going back on it. It's a great song. It's really good. It's really good.
I kind of wrote down like, this is just like a touch too cynical.
Right.
Like by the time he's like calling the mom and saying like, this is the cops and your husband's and
I know, okay, you're like, I know it's about being like, young and doing fun things, but like, is that really who you want to be right now?
Yeah. Like I agree. If this was just like, man, maybe just another pass on some of those lines, but hey, we said we wouldn't dwell on the lyrics. So
and it was
a
huge song, and I think it still has a rabid fan base to this day.
Yeah, I mean, it really paid off. You got a guitar riff that, by the way, is like, not insanely hard to play, but like is a pretty intricate guitar thing.
Yeah.
Intricate enough that Matt Skiba messes it up a bunch. But, who said that? Someone's back there trashing Skiba. I don't know.
A ghost. An alien. Alien.
So here's what I wanted to say about the band Nirvana. So I really see this sort of similarity in the sense that they're in a genre that you wouldn't call pop, both Nirvana and Blink, but it's just like this strong pop sensibility songwriting. Nirvana wore flannels and had distortion pedals. Blink wore Hurley and played through Mesa Boogie cabs. Like, but they're both kind of shining examples of that. Like, if you put together, if it's all about the songwriting, the strength of the song, the hook.
The song itself is very strong, and I think this harkens forward to what they were able to accomplish on Untitled, and which a direction I wish they would have continued to push.
Yeah.
Beyond that.
By the way, let us know if you want us to check out Neighborhoods, because again, I've heard it plenty, and she's never heard it, and you got a little bit of the untitledness in there. So maybe we'll check that out at some point.
Maybe I'll just listen to it.
Or that, yeah.
Just for fun.
Not for the channel. But yeah, that's kind of I know that's kind of a weird point, but that's kind of what I found myself thinking about with this record, is like liking it to a Nirvana or another band like that, where it's just like the songwriting's undeniable, and you wouldn't call it pop music, but they're pop songs, totally.
Yeah, especially things like this. I think this might be the strongest song on the album.
Oh, you think so?
Maybe.
I believe it was the lead single, followed by All the Small Things.
Yeah.
I think so.
So
what comes next?
Dysentery Gary.
Not my fave.
I didn't really get what they were trying to say.
Yeah, this guy is a loser. He just really doesn't like this gentleman. He doesn't like this guy.
But like, and then also, then he says like the songwriter, the protagonist, whatever, like if it's him or like a fictional character,
Sure.
says he's gonna lie to the girl if he's gonna get the girl and lie to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he also just says that girls also suck.
Girls are such a drag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. The perspective switches a lot. I'm not even sure line by line like who's he talking about. This one's a little messy. Cool riff. You know, they're all fast and intricate like that. And like I also really like the part where Mark comes in and like does this sort of like really sing-songy thing that is like playing against like Tom's more intense thing.
Yeah.
It comes in like ease away.
Yeah, I actually did like that too. Again, like cool songwriting, a little dragged down by the lyrics.
Yeah. I know a lot of people really like this one.
Okay.
And I think if you ignoring the lyrics, like melody wise, energy wise, cool riffs, has that cool part with Mark that you don't expect.
Yeah.
It is really cool.
That's like my weakness too, is like if I was so distracted by how weird the lyrics were that I wasn't really paying attention.
Were you like reading along on Spotify?
I was reading along because I was trying to figure out what I don't know. Explain if you have any thoughts.
I need
explain.
I need like a breakdown of like what exactly is going on in this song.
We're thinking too hard about it probably. Next is Adam's song.
Yeah, so Adam's song is a perfect opportunity to say something we haven't said yet, which is we haven't talked about Travis.
Which is a crime.
It's a tour de force performance.
I mean, Travis is just, we both can gush over.
Yeah.
He's a great drummer.
He's a great drummer, and, you know, I know some people in the drum world have issues with him, you know, saying he's animal. He just like hits everything hard. It's like, you know what, man, so does Dave Grohl. Like,
yeah.
You know, subtlety isn't what he does, but what he does do is really creative parts. They're really creative, and I think Adam's song is the perfect example of that. What a creative drum part against verses that are just like dun 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 dun, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he could have played, there's a million easy things he could have played that would not elevate the song, but he always elevates the song.
Yeah, and like with a band like this, like, do you even really have to, like, is that really what people need is elevated drum parts? But he's like, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I'm going to do something you don't expect.
And again, in that Pursuit of Tone documentary, Tom talks about this moment where they were first working with Travis. By the way, this is the first one with Travis. He was replacing a drummer.
Okay.
That they had this moment where Travis is like, do you always have to play the same sort of thing? And Tom's like, well, you can come up with a cool part. And then he says, like, that's the moment it became like 3 songwriters. Like,
because sometimes the drummers, it's like, you're not in the band. Like, you're sort of like,
here's the song,
citizen.
Play your part. Yeah.
So the fact that they gave him the opportunity to be creative is really cool.
I mean, I really think it made the band. You know, I know they had hits before, like Damn It, from the Can't Hardly Wait soundtrack.
Best movie.
It is the best movie. But this really made them what they are, you know?
Mm-hmm. And to this day, he's still influential, and he's playing with Willow, you know, it's
sort
great.
of become like the godfather of punk rock in a way. And let's see, I had something else about Adam's song, I think. Did I? Oh yeah, I said even the serious song has a joke.
Yeah.
I never caught that when I was
in it. It's like a lot.
It's in the hook. It's
yeah.
Like, I never conquered, rarely came.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, I don't know what that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of a double entendre. Like, you can take it for face value.
That cleverness is always there.
So, good job.
Apple juice line maybe could have used another pass.
There's a line like, you'll never set foot in my room again, right?
Yeah.
So that was another one of my points. It's like a little bit just a little bit self-wallowing, a little bit like, everybody's so mean to me.
You'll be sorry when
You're
I'm
gonna
gone.
be sorry, a little skater
Yeah.
boyish.
Little bit.
But like, again, not that big of a problem.
I mean, it's cool that it has a more serious track and that it was a single that performed really well. It sort of like proves themselves in a way. And I think they get a couple of those under their belt. I know Take Off Your Pants and Jacket has one too. And that can sort of lead them into Untitled. It's like you don't get Untitled unless you go through all this, I guess, with them. So it's like I'm willing to accept anything because I know what the end result was.
Yeah.
So then it's all the small things. Yeah, it kind of has this organ sweep at the end of Adam's song that goes into all the small things.
That's cool, yeah.
And I wanted to point out, like, I think that was Jerry Finn, who we haven't mentioned yet. But yeah, you kind of have this like organ pad type thing sort of all over this record if you really listen close. And it elevates a lot of the bridges and final choruses in the record. So Jerry Finn, let's discuss real quick, and then we'll get back to all the small things. Jerry Finn's an incredible producer. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Really, really wish I lived in a world where he was around to produce Neighborhoods. But he did this record, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Untitled. And he also helped out with Plus 44 a bit, which is Mark and Travis.
Yeah.
He does something on this record that I think is really impressive, which is massive, massive guitar sounds that are cleaner than you'd expect.
Okay,
Like you think, oh, it's super distorted, it's dirty guitars, right?
Right.
It's like you listen to it, it's like, no, it's cleaner than you think, and he's achieving such a massive tone, and that's sort of why the record has this instant power behind it. When something like Dumpweed kicks in, there's just this wall of sound that's unlike a grunge wall of sound. It's not like a Smashing Pumpkins Siamese Dream wall of sound.
I get what you're saying. It's like a more accessible
It's very
thing
clean.
because you don't really understand why that what it is that draws you to it, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
And you couple that with the band's ability to write parts that can stack.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, they are good at that. Yeah.
By the final chorus, generally everything you've heard before is now coming back. You take all the small things, for example, the na-na-nas are now back. The riff is now back.
Yeah.
You could even throw the verse back. You could stack their songs on top of each other and everything would fit anywhere.
There's some really good examples of that on Untitled for sure.
Yeah.
And I think especially vocally,
Yeah.
there's like some really awesome harmonies and things that they do, and I don't think it really gets that much attention, but I'm just going to call it out there.
They weren't mixing and matching their voices much back then, which is
Right.
why that part in Dysentery Gary, when Mark comes in, I feel so ridiculous
Yeah.
saying that. When Mark comes in, it's like, whoa, cool, he's in
It's
this
cool.
song. He's
Yeah.
in a Tom song.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to Untitled, it's like they're mixing and matching all over the place.
Yeah. They're really getting in the groove.
What do we have to say about all the small things at this point?
It's fine. I
Really?
think like, I really liked What's My Age Again. It's short and it gets a little, I wrote that it gets a little repetitive at the end.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think the best thing I can say about all the small things is it's a really strong pop song.
Yeah, and it was a great single for them. They really picked, I think, the best singles for this album. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine any other song as a single.
That's a good point. I mean, I could see Dumpweed maybe being a single. I could see Going Away to College being a single, but there's issues with those. Like
Right.
Going Away to College has too long of an intro. I think they did definitely pick the best singles.
Yeah, and there's just a like a broader appeal, I think, to the three. Not that they don't all have broad appeal, but there's just some little extra magic for whatever reason on those three songs.
And you know what all the small things has? It's the secret sauce that not a lot of songs get. Your Seven Nation Army, your
Is that the only example?
that's the only example I can think of right now. That one song that goes, hey. So it's the arena appeal,
Oh yeah.
which even recently, like there's like a big hockey team that's like their song. It's a song that people in masses can like
We
sing.
Will Rock You.
Yes, kind of like that. Yeah, they can all just like sing, especially the chorus. Everyone can chant that, you know?
I mean, it's funny on Seven Nation Army because they just sing the guitar riff.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Something that like can fill and the space and get people excited.
And speaking of filling space, it's interesting that they strip it down in the first two choruses. You know, guitar rings out, and there's no more guitar in the chorus, and he's just singing. You got Travis on the toms, and it's not until the final chorus that you get big chords with the chorus.
Yeah.
So that was a nice like little break, because the record can get a little fatiguing with just like big guitars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of was one of my thoughts for the sort of after this song. You got Party Song, Mutt, and Wendy Clear.
Yeah, it's not the strongest finish.
That's that little run. By the end, I was kind of like, how many songs? Oh, sure. There's even another song that I didn't even write
Anthem.
any notes on because I was not really.
Yeah, Anthem's
interesting.
interesting.
Kind of checked out by then.
Yeah. It can get a little fatiguing at the end, but next is Party Song.
Party Song.
That's an interesting one. Wonder if they do that live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
no.
It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful. Also, like Dumpweed has some lyrics that maybe don't age well, but we don't have to get into that. I'm sure Mark wouldn't stand up for them now, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So why bother talking about it? But I mean, it's an impressive performance.
Yeah, there's a lot of words in it, which some people might like.
I think it's fun.
You know what I said was, well, first of all, I said song boring.
Boring?
I would think I was just getting bored of the album by this point. And maybe if we're listened a few more times, I might. The first listen of an album is always like a totally different experience than repeated listenings.
And especially for this channel, because you're like really focusing, you're like reading lyrics, you're taking notes.
Yeah.
So even a 35-minute album like this, it can sort of be a lot.
But I did say it's basically moot because 2 years later, Andrew WK came along.
Party Hard.
And wrote Party Hard, which is the greatest.
You think you're going to a
party song ever written, ever, and will ever be written.
It can't be topped. It is the best party song ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. I could talk about that song for a while too, but we won't do that here.
I want to see a joint tour with them too.
Oh my gosh, actually, he still tours.
Yeah, totally.
He used to come to the town we used to live in.
Yeah. So, party song. You know, fast, impressive. Travis is still just on fire. Now, I want to throw this out. He recorded most of his drum parts in 1 8-hour session.
Oh my gosh. He is Animal.
At least
like,
according
what's wrong
to Wikipedia.
With that?
I know, it's crazy.
Animal is cool. Everyone loves him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just so incredibly impressive. And I read a quote from someone from the Aquabats, which was the band Travis was in when he came into Blink, and the Aquabats guy was saying, like, you know, we watched him fill in for Blink once, like, and learning the songs, and I had to learn the songs backstage and stuff, and just like watching him with Blink, they were like, we should probably just look for a new drummer because, like, this is the right band for Travis.
Right, yeah.
He's just like, they just clicked.
It just worked,
It's the perfect 3 people to be doing this. It's why it works so well. And then we got, Mutt, Wendy Clear.
Mutt.
Mutt's a little interesting because it's, that one's a little more sparse. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a little more chill. You're mostly getting like cool bass lines and stuff.
I noted there's like a cool No Doubt-ish little breakdown thing that I really like. The song itself, didn't grab me that much, but when that happened, I thought, oh, there's something like that sticks out and is really well done and is cool, and it sounds different from a lot of the rest of the album.
Interesting snare sound on that one too. It's like a little higher pitch, like you would hear on like a reggae or ska kind of thing.
Exactly. I think that's what like brought obviously the No Doubt
Yeah.
reference.
It's like a little more pingy of a snare. There's a lot of like interesting drum reverbs going on. Yeah, cool production on Mutt. Wendy Clear, that maybe is my least favorite, not Dysentery Gary. I think Wendy Clear is not super strong and a little just in your face and unrelenting.
Yeah, there is a bit of an issue again with just songwriting maturity. I think that where they're just kind of like throwing a lot in there without really editing properly.
I wish it didn't have to be so bad. Not a great hook to like hang your whole song on.
Yeah.
And then we finish it off with Anthem, which I think is a fine song. And I know you start Take Off Your Pants and Jacket with Anthem Part 2. So that's interesting. And the most space he puts in the guitar has just da 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 da. Usually he's just going crazy and filling in all the space. And now he's taken the space. And it also ends with a weird lyric that I couldn't quite figure out. It's I time bomb. And he keeps saying I time bomb. I time bomb.
That's hard to say.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I don't know what that lyric means. And it left me really intrigued. And then the album ends. It was a weird thing to leave the record on. Like, just left thinking like, what is I time bomb? I don't understand. Not a time bomb, I time bomb.
It's kind of like when the Killers said, "Are we human or are we dancer?"
Singular.
Singular. I mean, it's a mystery for the ages.
What does I time bomb mean? Let us know.
There's probably a whole video about it out there somewhere on YouTube. So,
that was our thoughts on Enema of the State. Your first listen. What do you think? You feel like checking out Take Off Your Pants and Jacket?
I mean, I love Untitled. There's some interesting things on this. I think I'm curious about the back catalog.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay. Should we check it out? Do you want to see a video of a similar length dissecting the great Jerry Finn production on 2001's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket? Let us know. They're wearing black this time. The red Hurley shirts are gone. They're dressed all in black.
I mean, I really thought this was gonna be like a album to laugh at, and it had more going on, and so I'll give it that.
There's a reason it has a longevity to it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason the band has that legacy and longevity. So thanks for watching. My name's Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
This is Not Every Single I Time Bomb.